Welcome to session 67 of Through the Bible in 90 Days. Today we will look at three takeaways from Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 1 to Zechariah chapter 10 verse 12. How it is okay to bring our doubts and struggles before God as he hears our lament and responds with divine purpose. How God's justice is certain and he will judge the wicked according to his righteousness. How God promises restoration and blessings to his people even after judgment. I'm Dr. J. David Taylor. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Let's get started. Takeaway 1. It is okay to bring doubts and struggles before God as he hears our lament and responds with divine purpose. Now, Habakkuk begins his book by crying out to God, asking why injustice seems to reign and why God allows evil to prosper. His lament is raw and it's honest, yet God does not condemn Habakkuk for his questioning. Instead, God responds with a vision of his sovereignty, showing that he is working even in the midst of apparent chaos. That's Habakkuk chapter 1, verses 5 through 11. For believers today, this is a reminder that God welcomes our questions. He welcomes our doubts and he welcomes our pain. When we struggle to understand God's ways, we can trust that he listens and will reveal his purposes in his perfect time. See, God's response may not always answer every question, but it assures us that of his control and his ultimate justice. Habakkuk 1 and 2 says this, O Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear me? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. Habakkuk 1:5 says, Behold ye among the heathens, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days, which ye will not believe, though it be told you. Takeaway 2. God's justice is certain. He will judge the wicked according to his righteousness. In Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2 to 4, God assures the prophet that though it may seem like evil is prospering, his judgment will come at the appointed time. See, the vision of the just shall live by faith in Habakkuk 2:4 emphasizes that even in the face of injustice, God's people are called to trust in his perfect timing. Similarly, Zechariah chapter 10 verses 1 to 2 speaks of God's judgment on the idols and false gods that have led his people astray. So for believers today, these passages remind us that God's justice will ultimately prevail. Though we may not always see immediate consequences for evil, we are assured that God will make all things right in his time. See, this assures us that we can trust in God's righteousness and not be swayed by the temporary success of the wicked. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4, Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Zechariah chapter 10 verse 1, Ask ye of the Lord rain in the time of the latter rain. So the Lord shall make bright clouds and give them showers of rain to every one grass in the field. Takeaway 3, God promises restoration and blessings to his people even after judgment. In Habakkuk chapter 3 verses 17 to 19, after understanding God's justice, the prophet rejoices in God's sovereignty, affirming that even in circumstances, and even though circumstances seem bleak, God is the source of strength and salvation. Similarly, in Zechariah chapter 10 verses 6 to 12, God promises to restore Israel, heal them, and bring them back to their land, providing for them abundantly. See, these passages offer hope and encouragement that while judgment may come, God's ultimate plan for his people is one of restoration, one of blessing, and one of peace. See, for believers today, we can hold on to the assurance that God is working to restore and bless his people. No matter the present struggles, his ultimate plan will bring hope and fulfillment. In Habakkuk 3:17 to 18, it says this, Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vine, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the field shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. Zechariah 10:6 says, I will strengthen the house of Judah. I will save the house of Joseph, and I will bring them again to place them, for I have mercy upon them. My God. So what does it mean to trust God when everything around us seems to be falling apart? In Habakkuk, the prophet wrestles with God over the injustice and evil he sees in the world. But God responds with a promise of future justice, telling Habakkuk that though judgment may seem delayed, it will surely come. And similarly, in Zechariah, God speaks of restoration, promising a future where people will be secured and blessed. Today, we are living in a world full of injustice and pain and suffering. But there is hope. God is faithful to his promises, and his justice and restoration will come. The question is just this: will we trust him even when we can't see the full picture? See, the real challenge we face today is just this: will we live by faith, trusting in God's promises of justice and restoration, even when the world seems broken? In Habakkuk 2:4, God declares that the just shall live by faith. And this truth is still vital for us today. When we face injustice or suffering, it is easy to lose hope. But God calls us to trust in his sovereignty, to live by faith in his promises, and to wait for his perfect timing. The challenge is whether we will hold on to that faith, even in the midst of uncertainty and pain. Will we trust in God's justice and his plan for restoration? What if we viewed our struggles not as signs of God's absence, but as opportunities to deepen our trust in God's justice and sovereignty? In Habakkuk, we see that God is not distant. He is at work, even when we don't understand his ways. See, the breakthrough idea here is that our faith is tested through difficulty, but it is also refined through difficulty. As we learn to trust God in the midst of suffering, we discover that his justice is always coming and his restoration is sure. See, the circumstances may be painful, but they are part of God's refining process, leading us towards his ultimate plan of blessing and renewal. And that's why this day, right now, it is your moment. Will you trust in God's plan for justice and restoration? And just as God promised Habakkuk that his justice would come, he promises us that his kingdom will be established in the fullness of time. No matter the injustices we face, God's sovereignty and his promises remain secure. This is a call to live by faith, trusting that God's judgment is righteous and that his restoration is coming. We can find peace today by remembering that God is in control and that his plan will prevail. Therefore, I challenge you today. Will you place your trust in God's promise of justice and restoration? Will you choose to live by faith even when the world seems broken and unjust? God has promised that he will make all things right, and his timing is perfect. Today is the day to align your life with his purposes, to trust in his sovereignty, and to wait patiently for his promises to unfold. Will you step forward in faith, trusting that God is working even when you can't see the full picture? In response to the love of God for me, I have 3 personal declarations reflecting my willingness to align with God's divine will. I declare that I will live by faith, trusting in God's promises of justice and restoration, even in the midst of difficulty. I declare that I will wait patiently for God's perfect timing, knowing that his justice will come and his restoration is sure. I further declare that I will trust in God's sovereignty, resting in the knowledge that he is in control and working all things for my good and his glory. My time is up. I'm Dr. J. David Taylor Jr. Thank you for joining us. Please remember to subscribe, like, follow, comment, and share. I look forward to seeing you next time.